Yeah, but my phone was. Yeah.
Good.
You like.
I wanted to contact this. I couldn't contact this. I went to see that.
So tomorrow is also giving it. Just near the temple. I will send it.
What's it?
That's not it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Someone just did it.
Okay, so just relate to everyone.
The Tsering also, I mean, Yamden Zomni, right? The chick. Yeah, that was so. Jideng, also Sablo Tang, and I just so way. Jolam. It's so. Chick Carsita. Yagitang Lavana, that Tinti Corley, that was a Yamden. As a student of chair, Tinti Chichona. A couple of chansons.
So today we have come together here to talk about, to investigate together, to contemplate how to improve our behaviors, our ways of thinking. So because it's such an important topic, I rejoice in this activity that we are beginning right now.
Yeah, that Tsering also Chitan Lupsende, that Tindy and the calendar Tanyas or Tenti Corlia, Lam-Rim with Alia, Chuji in Centro, Senora, Chujila Tene, the conditions so young the town, I say. Equal teens, right?
So the topic that we arrived here this time in the stages to the path of enlightenment, the Lam-Rim, is on the Chushi. It's in the 4 points. If anyone has the book, you can see the exact translation. So it's how to practice using these 4 dharmas, we can call, if you translate literally, the 4 dharmas. Yeah.
Yeah. The Chuji Sambala Tene, says to the Samlo Tela Tene, the Ningbo language, so the weird condition of course.
Yes, so the title of this class is about how to take the essence of life. So which is basically how to accomplish our goal in this life, how to take the essence of this life, relying on these 4 dharmas.
Yeah. Tati Geshe Tambo the country so the Garche name of Sutanta Ani Dubgo Grace. The Digi Tamaso Ani Tanto Tana, Lobjon Chis and Yamne Chis and the Chigo Yense Karais, the Tualigro.
So the first of these 4 dharmas is about the need. Why do we need to accomplish anything? Why do we say that we need to practice, that we need to study? So what is the reason for us to have this need?
Yeah, Tati Kablia, that Tivando Kaleguris in there. Narazalia, and the Kasama City Quality. So Salo Tanda in under, so some Yamyon in under. And a rich chick, Masolia Chiranjing and Chick Chonsa, chick chip. So, and Nibade, not so Sendelia, young Dendro, Yamyon, Sa, and a look young the chain, Tig on your Sablo Tantonda, so which can do, Jonathan Tenton. Rigni over the
Digni over the Dignium, dans Samlo Tantan.
Mamma, chick the Hentigio, Samlo Tantanda, Jolam, so chick chip, Nipate, and also younger Tani.
Gyolam.
Jolamina, and Core, Samlo Tanta in
Gyolam and Samlo Tantan.
Nicolia, Nini, Nini. John Sendel Johnny Joy, chick chip. My young Tambo, Ranching Society.
So as we talked before, there are 2 types of behavior, and also we can say way of thinking. So behavior and way of thinking, they're of 2 kinds. One of them is called the innate behavior, which is basically how we spontaneously react to things, how we spontaneously think, how we spontaneously act, behave in the world. The second one depends on our culture, the things we have learned, our education, our practices. So depending on these extra conditions, we have an acquired behavior or an acquired way of thinking. So it's always of two types. There's things that we acquired behaviors, acquired ways of thinking, and there are innate, spontaneous ways of thinking, behaviors.
Yeah. 당어서 랑싱 렌질이 요래 성지 렌질이 요아데 사로 땅땅 있는다 삼로가 내법 그잖니 하나 소소가 지 레카체탄 하나 지 결혼 대당 렌지 위르지 요거 다 telle야 자샤자탄 바창마 약보레베세 다 티왈리그로
And we can ask ourselves by looking into these two kinds, when we look into what comes to us spontaneously, naturally comes to us, can we say that everything that comes either in our minds or behavior, can we say that it's 100% pure, completely without any fault, anything bad coming spontaneously?
Yeah. Tadi kacheshi kabliya tachik susoga saulo tantong kachi na jasha jatamba ani yawashi greze masala tumai tatile yon susoli gyuncha mambu yawashi angatsu tar killing in parcheko yaris.
So it's very hard for us to say that it's 100% pure. If we are honest with ourselves, when we look into what comes spontaneously to us, then it's easy. We have to see the mistakes that come with these behaviors.
Yeah. Tadina ta yang chik rajing ngarsu lenki samlo yang yapo rik samlo tang tang re yang chik leka che tang susu chik jolam yapo ya mambu shi yoris yang chochik yang samlo chik.
And also we have to recognize that there are many things that come naturally to us that are good, that are positive. So we also have positive things that come naturally to us.
Yeah. Taina dagi chik samlo tang tang kichani re yang chik kinkyo re leka che tang re chik diwi chochik yo na ta tenga tsun gyawa tang re kache tishe yoris. Ta gyawa tang ya la dagi xia na jingku tsendala jangdar tang ya se shik lob jong yi nanda ta chik nyamlen zi na gom zi ya teso karagi che tere zoni dagi shamba diwi chote ranjingu yonjo ten gyawa tang ya tabshi.
And everything that we identify in the natural, in the spontaneous way of thinking, of action that comes, that are not in the positive side, they're negative, then we use the second category that we talked about. We use this acquired wisdom or this acquired behavior. So relying on study, relying on new ideas, relying on practice, relying on meditation, all the practices that we do are included in this second category of behavior and ways of thinking. And the point of this, what's the point of all of this? To change what the natural or spontaneous behaviors and ways of thinking. So using this acquired, non-spontaneous, we try to change, to influence our natural behavior, our natural way of thinking.
Yeah. Tadi onde tage ranjin henchigi yore zeti nolya ta kare yore zonde maso samlo tsambala chikirk soso chi devan dongke chi devan do gorda se lap ko mare ta de ko ranjin ku chi che kalejena henchi chi socha kanejena mi ro mi tsamai ba tsamba devan dongke ningal mando ba se ta maso ko ranjin ku henchi na yoe rikchik deres.
And what is one spontaneous way of thinking that comes, that it is spontaneous for all of us, and not only for human beings, but all living beings, comes naturally to all of us, is this quest for happiness and this quest to avoid suffering. That's spontaneous, that's natural to every living being. So what is our goal of every action? To seek happiness, to avoid suffering. And so this desire for happiness, and this desire to be free from suffering acts as a reason for this first dharma that we're talking about. So why do we need to practice? Why do we need to study? This is the reason, this natural thought that we have, this natural a tendency that we have for happiness and avoiding suffering. This is the reason for us, for the need, why it's necessary to practice.
Yeah. Taina tachi dewa dukuri, dinga seguri si kachatrwa, di kachat shevi kavliya. Angaso dewa se di dewa tan dinga se di muiziya. Tambo di gamliya. Tachi netan gashiliya chik soso dechin rongo tsodewela. Tandi nekawla chik dewa shuwin chik tsodena ya. Ko jile ko dinga ku ni jingwa ya shikmambo chik.
Dunga gregi.
지금 어쩌단다 아니 이제 dinga koran ka shiwa tani ne ko chi tambo ya ko zi ka le ya chi dewan ro shi jinang ro chi po ye chin chi yong na yang rembe ko dinga ka ngo ro sha ya de on de tang se dewa tu ko dinga se ko ri se on de ta ti nam sha ga le ma su lo gyong shi me na yang ta ko nam sha de na chi ya da ti in the
Okay, so on top. So we can accept that we want happiness, we don't want suffering. But the first step is for us to identify what is happiness, to identify what is suffering, because it's not always a clear cut in our experiences. There are many times that we are having an experience and we feel like that's happiness. But then eventually, as time goes by, this transforms into suffering, or in recollection, we see that it was suffering, which is something that, for those who know, it's called the suffering of change. So the first thing is for us to be clear about what is happiness, what actually brings happiness, what is suffering. And for that, it's necessary to have this study. It's necessary to know about these things.
Yeah. The
Question. It's a question, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just to make clear to myself before about the two types. So they're more in
Yeah.
And then the one that comes from the mind. So when we talk about bodhicitta, we're basically talking about that the instinctual one would be good by nature, right? Without the thinking and changing an outcome.
Ni чуть-чуть сомневался, да, дигнире ленге, ире они символ бикре ленге, да.
양들
년대치야.
선생님
주주세나 네 лен게 임거래배.
저 전축 샘세데 당서데 양대 직고고 당방아서야 양들 자원이 마다니 전축 샘지 렌지 두그리제 티크쳐디오 말스. 이치하고 그럼 이나야 양들 렘베 땅에 버리고서 그 렌지 뭐 누구요요데 전축 샘이나를 직삼로 야를 가리나 그 렘베 그 만트니 양들 땅나 그 담아들이야 그 런신 렌지 지요요데 마디 가셨지 지금 스티온데
좀
양들 담보 양들 지가 마템비 전주 셈지 갑자기 요래잖아 그 제가 말했어 이나 양들 땅이 타마는 전주 셈디 렌지 좀
Yeah, so with bodhicitta, so yeah, there's these two kinds, the natural way of thinking, spontaneous, and the non-spontaneous. So it's not spontaneous, you have to make effort. That's a bit the meaning. So with bodhicitta, if you have never thought about bodhicitta, if you have never practiced, it cannot just be born naturally. It cannot just come spontaneously to you. So the process, the path, is to start with this acquire the second category, which is making effort, and it doesn't come natural to you. So the more you practice here, the more it becomes natural to you, the more it becomes spontaneous, not only with bodhicitta, with every good way of thinking, with every habit that you create. So first you have to use the second category. First you have to do it in a more using reasons, etc., and then it becomes natural.
And then naturally
then it becomes spontaneous. Yeah.
Yeah. Tanda nga tsu we ni chik rangshil hen chigi yore siya samlo rik chik tani kong kachi chongi pa. Tinta wote rangshil hen chigi siya diya di tsindi we soso we chik yangdar shik chungala ten ma gowa kachi shigore munda yo. Kia nga ma tawa soso di gama kumri mongbo tanga ya. Di we ko kashi kinte yo chogore siya. Tiong di taso nga tsu.
Gumti la tene re na yung kiwa.
Ya kumri di tanda ki kumri la ten go mara siya tsindi we. Kachamayimba.
Yeah, because this innate behavior, so we talked about, we use this word innate, so since you were born. But in Buddhism, we talk also about previous lifetimes. So it's not that these things you didn't habituate yourself. You also had to habituate yourself, and then, so these innate behaviors, you don't have to habituate yourself in this lifetime. They seem natural to you, spontaneous, but still you habituated yourself. You created habits in previous lifetimes.
Yeah. Penada masu chik tanambi tarum kani jane masu keling karicho na pena mi rangshal masu ro mi chipa ina ya. Kashi pe tambo ni chik tambo bu chinju ya chik jiong di chi yenpe pe simba sangbo. Kashi pe chik Gashi te mayimba doshon to pe senje ka se ala gabondo da kanta chambala no bacha pe gaboya. Just tsama de masu karsin ko soso samlo rangshik lenji yorda. Lenji kachi shiate. That soso tsenama kumri bacha. That leran tsama nandrewa tani kachi.
Yeah, the way that we usually accept in Buddhism, for example, there are many kids in the world. So there are some kids that they have for example, they're very kind towards others naturally. Kids, they're very natural, right? They only do what's spontaneous to them. So some of them, they don't like to kill insects. They're very kind. And then there are some kids that since they're very early on, they like to kill insects or they're not so nice. And all of this spontaneous. It seems like it's innate. Since they're born, they come with this. But in Buddhism, we say that this relies on imprints. So because they have this habits from the past lifetimes. So they manifest in this lifetime as a innate, as a spontaneous action.
Yeah. Tade only talking also which ani deva duvya tinga sia dia suzo rembe kumtitana ani tamala deva duvya lo henchi chunga tikable deva duvya lo katsi yare tantana dinges chizena da kanga sim negative chote my nyore do Deva Duvya Tamla Montuni on the Delia Comdi Church, Katsia Tantona, Shamba Dingerk Yong shot in my nyore
Correlation.
Yeah,
And these two things that we have in ourselves of wanting happiness and wanting to avoid suffering, they act in correlation, so they have a relationship. The more we habituate ourselves with the methods to achieve happiness, the less suffering we have, and vice versa.
Yeah, that only that tambo wants to take Geshe, and the choosing tambo de Garjin and Matsu in Ninji, and the Tuko race, only Tukoya de Matsu and the weird car race, the Ranjim Buris, they were donkey. Dinger Madonkish. You know, Dinger was a Russian in it. But they only done like a check to sit on that. So do not unboard to go in sense.
Yeah, so then coming back to the first Dharma, so the need to practice, and the need to practice is because that is a aim, a goal, an objective that we all have naturally, innately. This need for happiness, this need for suffering, but naturally also suffering comes to us. So we need to do something to clear away this suffering.
Yeah. Tadini Nibadi Commission. Tadini to go Jinsen Hako, assuming about the Leka Chego to Spena, the Kardashina, Tamadini about the Chego to the you must have in that. The check over it in a check to grievous.
And then the second one is about, okay, we accept that we need to do something, we need to work. The second one is the question, but can I do something about it?
Tadi kab sheva kablia. Ta cheto mato kachi sheva kablia. Ta susulia chekin ro. Susul niba kardu. Susul chi penada chi langan ro chi soko ya bachash. Tanga nasibini pan rosa langa soko tu sena. Penantan dewa di chena nasibini ya lango se samlo shiurwa. Ini ya karchena nasibini pan roya pe kale kaboya. Ta ina ya ta te langa dingi par zog tu se te nga so tambo drup gong tu se tambo che ta nipa te tanga so te langa dingi ya se ya le nga so thogri thogu mare se unde ta so thogri thogu mare se unde sosole ya ani ti nipa te jasha ngapchi sosole ya ina yo jasha mambo jing te shamba la tengu pena di langa ni so ya le mar so ta che che gore te ya chi chen te ya rosan tango ina yo shamba di ani sanega pombo de sama kanda sama chochen shia de eko tendra washi kachi gresta.
And then in the second dharma, so it's about the potential to practice or to achieve. So we might have the potential ourselves. Okay, I can do it. But it's 50% on our side and 50% on other conditions. So we need to identify, we need to see how is our situation, what are our conditions, and identify what are good conditions and what are bad conditions for us to achieve our objectives. For example, here, to come here to Shide, to this house, we are usually thinking that we have already decided that we need a new way to come here. So we're thinking to create a path here going up straight to the road, because if we come from down here, there is this scary dog that's barking at people, and the stairs there, they're not so nice, a little bit far away. So okay, so the first dharma here we have recognized we need to do something, we need to create a new road. Then the second one, can we do it? We can. We have the ingredients, we have what's necessary, but also we need to, also there are other conditions. We need to get permission from the neighbors here. We need to talk to the landlord. We need to see, there are many things that need to come together to do this.
Yeah. Tante kawle ta maso dum negres ta dum nipa kachi she kawle ya dum negre ding mari tiwa de sarwa ta dum negres ta jinza karashi se nangi tele chi chen nangi chen ikashi da kindo pe kindo.
So here the potential to achieve our objectives, for those who came in the previous classes, maybe you remember of the internal conditions and the external conditions. So because we have the internal conditions and external conditions, we can achieve.
Yeah. That's also nangi chen kachi she kable ya ta kazanga sudi kan ya so we tanda ni tanda nga so tende mli danjor tawa je choba chi changkesi.
Okay, so these internal conditions, as we talked before on the precious human life, it's about the support of this human body, and also the 8 freedoms and 10 favorable conditions for those who have seen this.
Yeah. Okay. Then ta nibade ani ken ta ngara so ya mali cha chimo to so lo gyong che do ba yo ani chik telian ti so ta ya ti so chama yo na ya ta chu ja sha ja tham ba chorong ge rang ge jong gre ve sen ya de stand nga so li tombo ba ya nga so nge parte chi ken chik tengu res ke.
And then let's say we have all of these internal conditions. We have perfect conditions to practice the Dharma. We have this human body. We have all the time in the world to dedicate to this. And we are very interested to. We have strong interest to do something, to practice the Dharma. But can we just, by ourselves, in the middle of nowhere, can we just do what's necessary? As beginners, that's usually not how it works. So we need to rely on things outside of us. We need to get external conditions.
Yeah, that they kavshena kasangangli ya chikache chongsa ra so ni chi de ge shing ni den ser se kong ka chi
And
다
that's
신인세 소소 단도드는 남턴나게 소소를 마치 배나 소선 로가서 남가시나 대리한 가이드 팅케시나 그 남사의 코디를 저쪽으로
and it's in this external condition that comes the teacher, the role of the teacher. For example, as a guide in a path, the teacher is this external condition.
어때요니 단도드나 다 비강리 sabla 당네 단단한 소 상말에 상대요시 지경게 소소요디야 아니 남기 찐데 소소리 상대야
And if we
다데
think
당봉에서 니버 모이싱고
and if we think about these favorable conditions, both internal, external, all the favorable conditions that at this time have gathered together to help us, then we can cultivate this feeling that I have the potential. I can do something about it. I can, yeah.
배는 소소치 당aren 보시야 진조에 너바시요나 당보 소소 텐조에 너바데 자세자 담바 너바디와 직체 타이나 타레 무사 타레 무지로거나 이 발레온치 도선타예시 고도 지기양 도선타에 점마인 소소티리야 타타 조야게 이 직가서다 다카르스 남턴세 코난자 딘지기 대 다도 참만도드나 마솔치 상대요 와서
Yeah, for example, if you want to go to a faraway place, we have the desire to go to this place, but then we need to check if we have the expenses, if we have the money necessary to cover the costs, if there are trains going there, if there are buses going there, etc.
Yeah.
Yes.
타이나야 소소에 직저역은 더 봐요. 아니 저야 직된 랑가든 저는 저야 지금 남던 랑게 참아요나요. 양수서 무스베게 직 라탄 가르진 저나 페나 사샤니 저나 야나 콤바지는 저거요나 야나 지금 남진 저거요나 야나 지금 뭐라를 지금 저거요나 저거라마도 만드나 사샤가 레벨 코로 요마라. 특히 참아요나요. 기초 잡고. You have to move movement. And you command. Matadi까지 시험데 and it is somebody coming.
And when we decide that we're going somewhere, so we have the wish, we have the plan to go somewhere, and we analyze if we have everything necessary to go. But if we don't start walking, if we don't do something, we're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get to the third of Dharma, of these four Dharmas.
답변은 주변 담보 듣고 이젠세 하고 니버드 주변 소설 니버 상마요 하고 다이나요 다 게임도 다치 지마도 하시 단 지칼로 소설 첸달 다치 전에 양들이 용세가 것이 여치마 마보 요리세 세기도스 다 첸달 기포시 당 이 여치마도 하시 전에 좀나 그도 선선 변나다 지 변선로잖아 당같이 사실은 조금 단단 소설니바 참마요 되게 참마요 어디나 왔다 로지마도 하죠 데리야 식삼로시 다디카래요 딘딕 삼로 코레스
And a thought that can pop up in our minds is we understand that we need to do something. We identify this. We understand that we have the potential, we have what's necessary, but we think, especially for those who believe in future lifetimes, we can think maybe next lifetime I can do. Now it's okay if I just do whatever. And for example, when we think like we need to go somewhere far away, we see everything, we have all the plans, we have everything necessary, but we never go. We always live for next year.
Yeah, 다디까지 시험이 단나 somebody 자치 소설레까지야 신들이 버드 듣고 그래서 신들이 다 소설레까지는 무슨 일을 지고 그래서 같이 되시죠. Somebody know, yeah.
The third Dharma is the need to practice the Dharma in this lifetime, in this very lifetime.
다 가르치는 신들을 듣고 그래서.
Why do we need to practice in this lifetime?
단다 자기 강의시잖아.
Just like it was said before, in this lifetime.
상마 진짜 상마 치 되는 거 되게 상마 좀 돼요.
We have all these conditions, we have all these favorable conditions, opportunities to do this.
Yeah. 다 딘저오데 저 치마는 좀 야래만 소이니
In the
니바요
in
말했어.
our future lives, in our very next lifetime, it's not guaranteed that we're gonna have exactly the same good conditions and opportunities.
야, 언제 단디 나브람 그 선반하네. 니바르 세늘 서서부터
Because of this, the Lam-Rim, this fact advises us in this very lifetime, you should do something about it.
대건 다가선 거는 그 시종을 틴디 단다가 나신 서서 지금 세대 단조 니까 와서 들리라오시 대다들 쇼파 아니 들어보지 돼 콜치 송사 단조 니까 단조 니 바싱 니까 와야 맞대 콜이요 지수 송사.
Today, maybe you have heard the teachings of Geshe Rinpoche in the temple, that he was talking also about the
야,
the hardship in finding the favorable conditions.
야. 어디까지 가셔야 직접 됐으면 치러와.
This is the third one.
다 일단 지금 내 생각을 주고
And then okay, I'm gonna do it this lifetime. Okay, don't worry, I'm gonna do this lifetime.
다이나요. 다
But
직전에 단단 나랑 때 단대 내 걸로 됐어.
maybe now for the moment,
왔다 그렇지?
I'm just gonna be happy. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry so much.
네, 다치 로카시기 지라서.
Maybe after a few years,
된디 다치 삼롱에서 고시그레스.
that's a thought that can pop up to us here.
네, 직전으로 지마. 야
Maybe next
직전에
year,
다디네 말로 숨지는 지.
or maybe 3-4 years later,
어디까지 시를 거야?
when we talk like this.
아니 집어대. 다딘데요 제요 말에.
The fourth advice here, the fourth Dharma tells us, don't do like this.
다단유도 좀 고레스.
Right now, you need to do something.
단단유도 좀 고레스. 어디까지 가르치는 세운데 저런 단단 특징들인 정보 약보시 차대요.
And why? Because now you have these favorable conditions. Now you have many opportunities.
대네 맞다비랑시레스 된지원도 시그리 직잖아.
All of these things, all of the good conditions, all of your good situations, they are of the nature of impermanence. They are changing.
야, 내 갑리야 삼월간은 남친이 메시다 저마다 봐.
And here in the Lam-Rim, they say Namching Mangepa,
남친이 메
which is the uncertainty of the time of death. We don't know when we're gonna die.
야야. 배우는데 단단 특징 정보랑 여기 갑들래. 소소의 직 달래 가르치 마서는 거 지금 맞잖아. 거 그런 지금 맞으니 시에 대한 용식.
Now that we have all these favorable conditions, if you don't decide to start the work, then death is not something that waits for our decisions to be made. Death doesn't care if you have started or if you have not started doing something about it. It just comes.
Yeah. 딘디 갑리야 사블치 카르탄 거래서 나한테 처음부터 봤어요.
And then during this, and then during this, we use these meditations on death and impermanence. And in Buddhism, especially important, this concept of death and impermanence, these meditations. For example, something that the Buddha himself has said. The first teaching that the Buddha said was about impermanence. And when he was passing to Parinirvana, his last teaching also before dying was impermanence. And what is the meaning of this? The meaning is that inside this meditations on death and impermanence, there is a lot here inside for us to practice. There is a lot of us to contemplate. There's a lot of benefit to be gained from this. Yeah. For example, sometimes we have a few challenges or problems or sufferings in life, all kinds of suffering, right? But many of the sufferings, if we're able to think with impermanence, and if we really think that tomorrow is this suffering going to exist, after a few days is this problem going to exist, if we know how temporary sufferings can be, that can be very beneficial for sufferings not to harm us.
Yeah. And when we
talk here about the need to practice right now, to start practicing right now. When we talk about the need to practice right now, the meaning here is right now you need to start practicing. So here the right way of thinking is right now you need to start doing something about it. You need to start practicing. It doesn't mean that you need to get the result. You need to get the result of your practice right now. It doesn't mean that in a short time you must strive to get in the shortest time possible. That's completely not the right way of thinking. Because one danger that exists is we all, as we said before, we all want to have happiness. We don't want suffering. So when we go to practice, when we go to meditate or study or practice, we want to have this happiness. We want to achieve this fast. But if we don't know how to go about it, how to practice, what is the right expectations to have when you practice, how are results going to come about, etc., then instead of becoming a cause for happiness, the very practice itself, the meditation itself, can become a cause to give you more problems, more suffering. And usually we don't know exactly how to achieve this happiness that we want. For example, in the Bodhicharya Avatara of Shantideva, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, it says, we have the mind, we want not to have suffering, but we run towards suffering. We want to have happiness, but because of ignorance, we destroy our happiness as if it was an enemy. So we have to be very careful also by the way we approach our practice, our studies, in order for it to actually bring us happiness and not just be another cause for more problems, more suffering.
Yeah. 남기양 직송 가르쳐 추 트발에 드프탄 시야데 기치그리스 추 제윈스 베나 다 곰르잖아 곰 자기인스 곰 잡발에 곰 잡탄 시야데 기치그리스
that's
또 베키시 무차고래 곰 자데 야보래 얘나 곰 잡탄 마시나.
So it's very important also with the decision of, okay, I want to meditate, I want to dedicate myself to this. It's also very important to know how to meditate, how to dedicate yourself to this.
어때 감래야. 단도드나 지 강에 지 소소리야. 강에 지는 동네도 지 강에 지 동네 제고야나.
In brief, if you
Yeah.
want to face problems,
야 동네 제동들이야. 지 뭐지 초용이 초 몸보시니 강아지 꼴이야. 따토나
Mhm.
강아지 꼴이야. 로경렌토나. 도드나 강에 지 동네 제고 강아지 강이야. 로경만지 제토고.
So in brief, if we want to face some challenges or problems, when we have to face problems, it's very good to be able to look from many different perspectives, to have an open mind about things. And for this study can be very beneficial to look into many different perspectives.
베나지 잔 마우도시 잡으나.
For example, if you want to make war,
야
in war,
마연게 지나 또 소소 자디 꼴이야. 자디 지 벌써 갑대대 콜레 지 초용이 간디지 대샤 과도 고절이 직변아 아 코웨 지 시비서 원탄 전셔르기나 코스 파원 카르카르도
for example,
그래서 참아 지는 제토나 아니 콜레야 자디 베게 아니 소소되네요. 농내 제간들 농내 마치 행을 소소래 뽑아내셔야 되고
for example, a soldier or someone in war. So it's very beneficial for an army to, before going into the fight, the army they send people to look around. They see where is the army stationed. They see what weapons they have, how much manpower they have, all of these things. So if we know beforehand these things, even before we fight, we already have much more confidence. First, confidence comes, and then second, when we actually go into war, we have a much better chance to win.
Yeah, but 디컵이야. 즉 자기 강에 주지사래. 어서 마음보시 가는 곳에는 다직 강간이 지체급이야.
And also when we meet problems,
공도식 정부
for example, very strong anger, very strong anger.
다라 갑자기 디지털 공도식 조틱네 이 갑자기 자야체.
And then
당에 공작의 인생
instantly
반주.
we have this very strong anger that comes, and instantly we think, oh, anger came, so I need not to be angry, so I'm going to meditate and I'm going to push down this anger.
원래 진지 제간도나
If you go to do like this, it's not going to work. It doesn't work.
그 아니 생각세 그죠. 생각제요 말해.
Yeah, we
surprise. Yeah.
So the way of working with this very strong anger is not by suppressing, it's not by force.
Yeah. Another chick. Yeah. 지 간데데 첸디 콜이야. 지 타블럼도 오시. 타블럼도 당보 세. 카피부기 죽만도야.
So first, without just going to war directly, first we analyze and we see what methods should we use, how should we approach this problem.
다 컨트롤도 식충고 시사거요나.
So when we have this very strong anger,
또 뒤에 가서 냠냠 가서
what is our experience?
수수 맞죠. 가서 냠냠 요리 상만.
We all have the experience that this makes us unhappy, that anger makes us
수수
unhappy.
맞죠. 맞아. 수수 ཉེንኮ르네 용케. 제 맞죠.
And also the people next to us, the people around us, it makes them unhappy.
다이나 당가서 컨트롤 빵고 그래. 같이 시그레스 상만 그렇. 당가서 내가서 dus dinge sequence that gon 같이
And we're all gonna say we need to abandon anger, we need to eliminate anger.
다이나 단 남비 쇼가 나나. 다좀 나나 가르치어 되나? 디바는 가비치 마인스. 컨트롤로 소소 멜이야. 아니 뭐 컨트롤 좀 사줘대. 코코로 매와 차사리스. 대조 빵아요. 말이 그 직시.
But then something that is said in Buddhist philosophy, it said that the anger that you had, that's not something to be abandoned. That's not something to be eliminated. The anger that you had in the past. Something that is said in Buddhist philosophy is that the anger that you had in the past is not something to be eliminated. It's not something to be abandoned. Yeah.
다양 직 가르치 그러잖아. 원나 다 가래. 단다 선수술 단다 컨트롤 Geshe become control the
And what
pangore ves kachi. The mama the pang mena, the pangore.
and what does it say? It says, okay, so you don't have to abandon the anger that you had in the past, but now this anger that you have right now, the present anger, the anger of this moment, is this something to be abandoned?
Yeah, you know, they is kachi.
It's also not to be abandoned. It's not to be eliminated.
They on koron bagi and it under chongsares. Chongsa the social no bando karichona. They taran kote and kote mus let's hanjores.
This anger has already come. It's already here. It's already harming you. It's already there.
Tadini tangama de me, tanda de me, and tagarcho. Young maombadi. The way is it to
So we don't have to eliminate or abandon the anger of the past. We don't have to eliminate and abandon the anger of right now. So we can ask, should we abandon the anger of the future anger?
Yeah, that maombe so jonju and kashat shendona. They tanda yo maris. They karchen the pangor.
So the anger of the future doesn't exist. So why do we have to abandon?
Tadi ta karche goris.
What do we have to do? We can ask ourselves.
Then the on contra pension some place. Be shamba sama masu tachi tinga kia nyomori country but sama.
So the anger here, I'm saying, it's just an example. We can extend this to any kind of suffering, any kind of problem we have, any kind of disturbing emotions.
Ta country is on the ta nasu nyamnyong karsa so merely chonsha control chiche. Tanda soso gila yosha di so nasu kara kore so machi so yewa. That di the mena gagu somebody tangasu nyamnyong satsar.
Yeah, so we have accumulated the experience, the thought that looking into how these disturbing emotions treated us in the past, the unhappiness they brought, the unhappiness they bring right now, we recognize that they are something bad.
Yeah, that they only that pangore kachishi dentro to muntini yonga, juntini ma yongati, they gago res kachishir.
And when we talk about abandoning the disturbing emotions, it's about cutting the flow of negative emotions. It's about cutting the stream, the continuum of negative emotions, of suffering.
Dentro muntini ma yonga kanlia, that dentro muntini yonga, that's also nyamyona, tachi kangaishuma to yomadis. That dentro what the kalichin gago res tikachit.
Yeah, so what we try to seize, what we try to stop is this flow of suffering or of disturbing emotions, negative emotions to the future.
Yeah, itaina yon te chik lamsa ane mebache ti jun mayonga de lamsa ka thoya chakko shiwish ane tabde wo shiwish mayimba de ngasumi ha ko.
But we know that disturbing emotions, this strong river of negative emotions, of suffering, it's not something that we can just cut, we can just stop very easily, instantly, all of a sudden.
Chochini tate kandirishini, karechini ngasute kato krisi, tingi barki shesho take gang shiater, kum javale, chuchevale, chuchetan shivase. Tate kandirishini ngasute kwaecheku tamlam de tsuya shesho dire.
So the most important thing is for us to understand how should we stop this flow of suffering, this flow of disturbing emotions. This is the meaning, what I was saying before, of knowing how to meditate, how to practice, is to know what is the right way for us to stop this flow of disturbing emotions. Yeah.
So you said that when we have, for example, anger, so we also don't want to suppress it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that by not acting upon it, we are automatically a little bit suppressing it. Because if you have a very strong anger, you want to be angry. Like this is a feeling that you want to be angry. So every other action that you will do, it's suppressing, I think. Maybe I'm not sure. So my question is, maybe sometimes if anger arises, so it's okay to act on it, like a little bit, not fully, but a little bit act on it. Maybe it's a smart thing to do instead of suppressing.
Okay, yeah, you're saying that when you have a strong anger, for example, I want to get this cup and throw at someone. if I don't do anything, that's already suppressing the anger.
Yeah.
If I don't act on my anger like this. So we need to find a balance.
Yeah, so maybe
Suppress.
don't throw the cup,
Mm.
but be angry and
Yeah,
not
punch the ground.
suppress it, because this is also something that can be
그래서 전염치그리.
Yeah.
전염치그리 그냥 나 생각을 suppress kaya machina ani penang kena da control na ni kira na kina tungi na tik ni pem pemia kira na lagin gönjü chegin 그러니까 das 전염치그리야 건강 just 되어들 맞습니다.
Tate taki kamsiya ter tate maso ta penang penso shana
Yeah, one example.
penang maso gas cylinder measure chash. Right.
For
Shivata pagi orda.
For example, if a gas cylinder explodes,
Yeah, the measures on member.
okay. If it's burning, yeah, this gas can, if it's burning.
Yeah. Tate maso pe control shikchum shivizayo chipache.
This is the same as a very strong anger burning in us. This gas burning.
Ko tablam ko ni senka chevale tablam yagre se penata. The any member there, the say tapshilia, Kashi Karchendo, and the chick chudo, the in a leg to the in a river, deny you at all, the gone chumo bolivia to subpetagi in Senkachi or Doshi. In a two penoyo maris.
So for many people, the most instinctive way of dealing with this problem when a gas explodes or a gas is burning, gas cylinder is burning, a gas can is burning. They see the fire and then they go and they grab a lot of water and they go to throw this at the fire in order to, this is similar to this suppressing, to this just going and trying to make it smaller. And if we throw the water into this fire, the fire is going to keep burning. The fire of the gas is going to keep burning. This because the person doesn't know the method of how to deal with the fire of the gas, how to. So one way of dealing with this fire from the gas is by making correct me if I'm wrong, make your clothes wet, blanket, and then you get the wet blanket, and you throw on top of the fire, and then the fire is going to be eliminated. So the thing is, to know the way, the method to deal with the fire or with the negative emotion. When we have this strong anger, how are we supposed to eliminate it? How are we supposed to clear it away? So when this gas is burning, so when the cylinder gas is burning, so when we see there the fire, let's say that half of the gas is already burned, so it has already gone, but there's still half the gas can is still left there. So then what we have to do in this case is to this leftover, this half of the cylinder can, we do anything we can in order for this not to burn, this rest. The other half of the gas, you cannot save it. It's not something, you cannot do anything about it. It's burned already. That's its relationship to what we said of what is to be abandoned, what is to be eliminated with regard to negative emotions. If this keeps burning in our minds or in the gas can, that's not okay. We understand this. And for this not to keep happening, we have to stop this. We have to stop this continuum. We have to do something about it. It's not that there's nothing to be abandoned. And then here in the fourth Dharma, it says that we have to start right now. But it's very important for us, before just instantly trying to eliminate, to analyze a little bit and know how to eliminate, how to practice, how to go about it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this was related to what you said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
And then maybe this brings up a related question. So when an aggressive fantasy comes up, so I know that this is not happening right now, but in my mind it can feel like it's happening, so I'm totally in that. So what's the best way to deal with this? Like, now I will say this, I will do this.
Gogabla 그냥 control나 이게 sempre não chaji sogire di chegi di laki linti ona di cantas chegare that's not only chegare
ana kondo shikshim sana tatijin mindi
non to gigere di chegi chashima bosogire chashima bosogire ani machine ona di cantas chegare
ande woman chibano sonyo tatiganso chichena does nyamle tomboso in kachare bor
so there is
chichena chojani chichena masale pensir
so there is something that it's talked about in the introduction to the middle way. Maybe this is a bit for high practitioners, but from one side, but maybe it can be beneficial for you.
Yeah, and the data be
so what does Chandrakirti says in this text?
Karti karse karti kwambit dochena tela kimchis dongam shota chwati tangorta benemishi susula no ba che yona chitsinge mala chashi yona chichena chik ani don yo sigri yona choron go chik da namre yona choron rio college so
let's say someone has harmed you, someone has criticized you, or this person went to your relatives or to your friends and said many bad things about you, or this person has harmed you physically. And because of this reason, we are angry towards this person. We use these reasons to be angry at this person. If when this person says many bad words to you, if your mind becomes unhappy, so this unhappiness of your mind, this is what we were saying, this is something, when this happens, it's something that it has already happened. The harm that you received from these words is done. So then something that Chaitanya Chandrakirti asks us in the text, he says, okay, so this harm to you is done already. So if you harm this person back, if you retaliate, is this unhappy mind going to disappear? Is this a good method for you to feel happier? Can this clear away the suffering? If it does,
너가 지간잖아. 아니 대치 초치니 지금서 제단 맛이 급이래 그랬어.
If it doesn't, if like you receive this harm, you have suffering, this unhappiness in your mind, in your heart, and if you retaliate, if you reply, if you make the other person suffering, if it doesn't change anything about this unhappiness in yourself, but you still do it, it's a little bit stupid. It's a little bit. He used this word. It doesn't make sense to do it.
야, 그 제단 맛인 게 아니 탐람듯이나 탐람.
This is also about this ignorance. This is also comes from this ignorance of not knowing how to deal with the unhappiness, how to work with this.
아니 지금이 가르치는 다 망보신 가서 가르치나 지금은 직 자식 거를 지라버와 직지랍 라바티 강에 소소부터 인생 망보 싸우다 다 공화돼 가르치는 나이나 그 인생 직 소소의 뒷강이야 저 망보 쉬우시 다음에 소소 당보 강에 춘주지 못해요 말 뒷강 소소 강에 망보 소소란 게 존이 대버전 맞죠 칠칠 당에데 다트페 소소의 제동 렘박 랑글레카
And also another times that we can be very stupid that we do often is that someone says a bad word to us, the person criticizes us or says something that we don't like, and okay, this harmed us. But also on top of this, each passing day, we're still thinking, why did this person tell me this? But I didn't do that, but I'm not like this. So why does this person do this? Maybe it's because this person thinks she's like this. Maybe she thinks I'm like this. So we start nourishing this. We become more and more unhappy based on this small harm, this small thing that the person's told us. And that's also not very intelligent to do this.
당보 미디기라에 소소 셈바 맞죠 신고라 칭이 바시나 맞죠 싫어 치모 말해 다이나티 딜치야지 소소소 야시 그러니까 체르체르 당해야 돼 소소를 마도 미션바도 말아
many times this unhappiness that came to our minds because of the words of the person it's not actually that big. If you just let go, it was not that big, but we make it bigger and bigger and bigger. We keep harming ourselves.
근데 디카블이야 더디스 동바가 치송에 대시
During this, something that the Buddha has said.
야, 소소 나닌다 김고에 나닌다 기자세. 소소를 넣어진 게 düşük 소소레스. 다 소소 야보다기 강제하는 것이 담라 야보때도나 소소 야쇼에 소소.
That's why the Buddha has said that the person that harms us the most is ourselves, and the person that benefits us the most is also ourselves.
야, 아니 소소 자양 소소리 닌자 소소.
You're your own enemy, your own master.
야, 되겠지. 어디까지 지리? 니네 아니 다 뒤값을 양사로 당당히 가서 손을
Second, when we were checking the last class about the mind training, the last one of the mind training,
즉 맞죠 그때 지금은 강아지 최고야 돼. 어떤 말한 게 수수을 아니 뭐냐 진짜 연구에 리사요 봐. 수수의 자와식 뭐는 좋아요. 수수 어떨래? 등에 받을 때 남의 수수 연구에 어디서 올라간 거래라. 때나 배가 그런 거 봐셔도 많이 봐. 수수의 제도 만들고 있는 거지. 어디서 나타나 지들. 수수의 링에 싸봐. 봐셔 미팅 이제 지금 알랍고 되는 게 진짜 연구에 레서요.
Yeah, so in the mind training, one of the advices that they give when we meet with these situations that the person harms us, says bad things to us. So if we accept karma, if you accept karma, so our way of thinking at this moment should be, because of my actions in the past, because of the karma I have accumulated, now I need to hear bad words. I need to experience these harms. So we don't put the blame or the fault 100% in the other person. We share the blame in a way.
직진나 수성을 면이야. 니잠바를 텔리
Maybe in the past I have also said many bad things to other people, harmed other people. And then now it comes back to me. This bad action that I have done comes back to me. Talking about karma. If we're able to think like this, it's also very beneficial in these situations. And then the second thing that I think when dealing with these situations, so the person that harmed us, or the person, the person that is angry, that act out of anger to harm us, this person is exactly like me. It's exactly like me. This person is full of ignorance. This person also is not independent. This person is not completely not independent, in control of herself. For example, if there is someone that we meet in the street, or a person that we know has a disease that makes this person, that makes him completely not in control of his actions or his words. For example, like could be called a crazy person. The person just acts whatever, cannot control himself. If this person is walking the street and this person is shouting at us and saying bad words to us, we don't worry at all about this. And why? Because we understand that this person has a disease, and because of this disease, this person is acting like this, is saying whatever comes to her mind. And just in this way, all of us, we all have these very strong afflictions. We all have to deal with this anger and disturbing emotions. And we many times we are under the power of them. They control us. And so it's a little bit, we also in the same situation as the sick person, the crazy person. And if we're able to think, so when someone says a bad word to us, if we can reflect, contemplate on the causes and conditions, everything that happened in the life of this person, why is this person saying these bad words to us? If we can contemplate that this is just a result, just an effect from many causes and conditions in the life of this person, then our anger diminishes, our anger goes down very much.
Yeah, and this is the Denji control regime, Meba Tamlam Tandan, Tamlam the Zigo is here. Denji Chok Mamboni, and the Tamazo Pekashi, Penzo Kashi, Jidon in Lam-Rim, Roy Johnson, Penyalemba, Susu, Tamla Tepa, very mobile sooner. The so come to younger Chetana, and even being control made of the Calais.
Yeah, so there are many ways to think that help us to have less anger in these situations. For example, now we talked about two, and also using examples. We can use examples. And this is the meaning of what I said before, of trying to look at things from many different perspectives, not just one perspective, but using many different methods. And also inside the Lam-Rim, there are many of these examples and these ways of thinking. And also in this mind training tradition, in this text, they have more examples, more ways of thinking about the situation in order for our disturbing emotions to go down and down and down.
Oh, that's so much earlier. Tamlam Langar. Chikanga Tena, Tikanga the Kandage in the Yoko, Kangati, Indro Montune Meoa, Kanichiku reset, indeed, that love justice. Sangachic Tan and Susala Chonsarva, Atindo Montune Meoa, Tamlam Kandi Rese,
Yeah, many methods for problems or sufferings not to keep coming, disturbing emotions not to keep arising.
Yep, that thing also take shade. Tablam thing kitchen raise that tamlam tinti the mambo song is right. That thing on the chick. Indeed, tamlam the matsin, cuptic the condo meva so good this. Tablam chetan machine the cup the book into an touchy compro jaya with some name for a chicken, which comparison pads in the chairs. That day go money to chow.
Yeah, so there are many different methods to deal with each of these disturbing emotions, and it's very important for us to take the time to explore and learn about these things. And this, instead of just when anger comes, we just try to deal with whatever way comes to us. We just try to suppress or deal with the first method that we can think of. Like when we're building a house, we don't just start building with whatever we have. We don't just have the idea and then go straight to build a house.
Yep, Tandino, Tando Dana, yet Tandano Karachi. Issue is in the rock, the Walatachi. And then also Chawakara Dukori. Dukoe, Jinsen, the Savo Chukitan. Nibody, Susuri, do check you about there, which is in Gores. That we are there, Susuichi. Because it to with Sindula. Sindula on the young Susuya, Lokashi, Loy Mambos, Jilka Chamay. So Tandan teaching solution be covered, and then in good place. Don't know the Tsering also Tandi.
So it's just later. So with these four dharmas, we contemplate why do we need to practice? Why do we need to do anything? Why do we need to practice study? First dharma. The second one is we reflect, we contemplate all the favorable conditions that we have, all the opportunities we have right now. The third one, we contemplate why do we need to do in this lifetime? And the fourth one, we contemplate on why we shouldn't procrastinate, why we should start to do this right now. Sorry, she had a question first.
Yeah, my question is like, you were explaining now how to stop the reaction, no? Like, for example, the anger, not to react with this. Just to observe, to analyze different perspectives. And my question is like, what are the methods to stop like the thoughts, not the reaction, but thoughts that come again and again.
그런 거 주소면 부탁이라는 데 그냥 저 유능나 이제 그래 컨트롤 원기 마셔나 이 타정 페리어에 이 삼로당라양 이 삼로가 그 삼로 좀 마용이야다 컨트롤 이 타정 페리어에
Yeah.
Sure.
Taina also, that country.
Mind.
Control tampo ni mayo tabla kashore, Michi so control on some yanjo, thinking on yanjo control, Montini. Indicature. Tambo was a control pet cut. Tambo ni samlona control the town in mayo kache. Tig chivari yana, then the Michi Sosolia, Chick Pican control sa, so the control Zarwa. Yanjo tento samlona malea, take a charity. Yanjo control Niba Miche Samlo na control. Taken Samlo Tambondo, yeah.
So is your question, he's asking, is your question about not giving rise at all to this anger in your mind, any thought of anger? Or is your question when, for example, when something happens that harms us, then we have the anger comes, but to stop the anger inside our minds, for us not to keep the anger in our minds.
Not the anger, any thought that can be repetitive.
Any thought that can be repetitive. You mean like this? Sometimes they say ruminating thoughts. When you just have so many thoughts. So yang control jibu ma impa. So lumon pung so yang. But that's gakore.
Tate chidane choa de pe nenga chimushi kure.
Yeah, this is a very, very big point, a very important point, this question.
Tate nga so mui so chik tate ndi nam to mo bu me chia de. Ma so chik nyam len that so mui so chik re la na course de.
We can say that our main objective, the main point, the main goal of our practices is to stop these ruminating thoughts or these discursive thoughts.
Sablo chik tang kari ngor zina ma so sablo tang tang zina da sablo ne ya chik sablo korea de chik de pe semba pe namem kopa chola. Drama da ten pe 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 gan ma shi chik pe sam da mo ko chik very active charge ko cho jamba de yo inde mai ba kare na pe chindo men pe nyufto pe momba secretary tadi nambi ka chikchana na ba so janya ma kire tani jane ko ma ka ya shangwa da ba secretary changwe ni secretary oti choni di ma ta pe no ba chishu di ni chungwa da.
So one of the two things that harms us the most, from one side, there is this overactive mind, when our minds becomes overactive, and we go to the side of excitement and distraction, and we just have all these thoughts very active. This is one thing that harms us. From the other side, sometimes our minds just become very dull, just becomes very foggy, and we don't really know exactly where we are. So maybe you have learned before, maybe some of you have learned about the meditation on calm abiding, concentration meditation. And then the two main obstacles for this practice of concentration is excitement and laxity. Laxity being this dull, this foggy state.
Yeah. Tadegi corona jen that's naming zati mambo shile ona tigang ta namdon drama.
So when
drama de ten they on so pa tigang da gise anon she so nembi mambo shja jinsen so jinsen yang da pa ke je ma so jinsen samlo tang pe mambo so namdon drama da ko ta gar ko le ne chogori enna chi mi chi ko la samlo tang na ta di ko so tele ye machiando ta chichen yan ko de yan drama da penso
when we are under the power of this overactive excitement or this distractions, a very distracted mind, then we can have many thoughts. We create many reasons for anything. Our thoughts are overactive. So for example, we can become more suspicious of other people because we're constantly thinking of not perfect reasonings, can be very stupid reasonings, but we go under the control of these reasons. You can think, oh, this person is this person is this, many things come out of this.
Yan tende we tan nam to chamanda sama leate so chik ta gi komisyon so sympathy man ne ma to pet simba ya non sure chik to samlo ko kawan na ta sharta is jana ta is yo so te ma ne samlo kan do pa gain da ta gain so pet chik naming do ya so samlo ko na ko chik te che so pe dino pa samlo so control che se jo te tabji sa ni ma ta pet any long yeah pa mendo mai ba chu kars pet tik samlo kar khong ko de ya samlo yong chik de te demand res ta woni chana also samlo te ma control che ta
and then we need to be careful. We need to find methods to not be careless. So we need to be careful not to be careless about letting our mind run towards anything that the mind wants to go. So if we're not careful about where is our mind at any certain moment, If we're used to just giving the control to our minds, and whatever comes, we look, whatever we're not careful about where our mind goes, then this becomes bigger and bigger. So we have to be careful to control our minds. Where is our mind engaging? What is our mind thinking, etc.
야, 이 전에 강시온디 따띠kap이야. 티님보나 잼바드 시신세. 근데 지금 잼바 나시 소소기티야. 다 가르쳐. 달린 찍고 그렇다. 티 문트 찍고 티 하고 그.
그러니까 não sei se sempre cala.
셈바 컨트롤이야. 조인도 셈 찍고 원진 치야데 잼바드 치. 근데 원진 치야 나시 소소 티야. telea appreciate no yapchon anime zewra kala horta 당alen 제고 어 사람은 된 조금 두세 런도요 하고 왔잖아요 어떤데 뭐니 조금이다 팀 조금 됐었어 당alen 시진 시진 어디가 야야 어 대가셔 야
and then in the practice of shamatha, calm abiding, concentration, meditation, they give us two main tools to deal with this. So they tell us about mindfulness and they tell us about introspection. So mindfulness is us, we are recognizing where is our mind, what is our mind engaging with. So for example, if our mind goes to something that is not proper, that the mind shouldn't go at this moment, the mindfulness, if we have mindfulness, we identify it. The moment this happens, my mind now is here. It should be somewhere else. So that introspection, the second one, is not only recognizing with mindfulness, but also the moment we recognize, we have to bring it back. We have to bring back the control of our minds.
Zamba ko ngozamba tsam shijing ngozamba maze ti gangya yang chi ko ngozamba te yang ndrig meba te tsama gangya
so the introspection is something more vast than the mindfulness. The job of the mindfulness is just to recognize that your mind went somewhere else. Just to recognize that your mind went somewhere else. The introspection identifies that this is not something good. Identifies that this is a wrong path and brings it back. Identifies also the good object for the mind to be at.
Yeah, that didn't do it now. Switch shane comes here. Kache tindio kache nyam the lewa. That is so in the so any suggestion do echi komja echi the gomja tindi kache maimba. Tindi each not in each other. Penda togori. Namji susu maseno. Country in Chikuna. Chichawa country do you come, you come inside. Julum country china. Oh, that is Rigashiri and Temba. She taking yam the chetana. They got country china, so similar, remember Tanzan. Chetoya. Then the only thing is also when it's chong.
So usually this practice is taught in the section of calm abiding, so in this concentration meditations about meditation. But this doesn't mean that this is a practice that mindfulness and introspection is only for us to go to a faraway place, to go to a cave or to go to a room and sit down. And then now we're going to practice mindfulness and introspection. We're going to cultivate these two things in our minds. It's not like this. Anytime during our day, with anything that we're doing, walking the street, eating, or working, or anything, these two things need to be our friends, introspection and mindfulness. Mindfulness is always there because we cultivate it. It's always there telling us, allowing us to recognize, am I now doing something virtuous? Is this positive? Is this beneficial? Or am I not doing this? And then introspection is habituating ourselves to keep us in beneficial actions, keeping us more and more into doing positive actions. So if we are able to cultivate this on a daily basis, at every time, more and more habituated, becoming more and more stable with this, then we can gradually gain control of our minds. Then we can gradually have more control of whether our mind is engaging in something negative or engaging in something positive.
Yeah. 이나 다 당보 맞서 내 당보와 당보 양대 땅이 겁이야. 정화도 고바 검잡당. 그 제시기를 띄워 주시나.
그래.
정화도 고바 근데 진이 용을 당 거에서 이 당보와 겁이야. 검잡당시. 시에스 페나. Yeah, maybe.
And now I can say a little bit about for beginners, for us, beginners, how to decrease our excitement and our laxity. So in this practice, but just translating something he said before, that if we're able to cultivate this introspection and mindfulness in every action, that's the best method for us to have less ruminating thoughts, less discursive thoughts.
Yeah. 다 간데르즈는 페나지 다 공당 이 당보와 저들이 손자여 페나 다 소소비지 당보와 소 곰르지 야베나 아 리당 당보 내거는 소치 페나지 소소 다근이지 공부야나 다근이지 강나 소소 삼로 그래서 삼로데 야 만조 마치 대고 제치를 봐 내고 내 삼로 다야는 당보지 야나 소소비지 자와친부 제어지 아니 Karina, di parina, kundaina, yana the koron so visualize china to court. Chin lamina haina, so gaina, so Karina. You know, the chevi kablia, so nam top a shichumu yangaina, the gomsaga needed, tombolia gomchomare. That's so captain, so captain, or jago. Muba. The garden. Samlo tangdangde, hajung tongbo jani samlo tangdena, gopa shichirchen.
So when we start meditation and concentration, so with like this, sitting down, so we have to choose an object of meditation. So for example, visualizing a deity or visualizing the Buddha, yes?
No.
Or visualizing your Lama, your teacher, if you have a teacher, so it doesn't matter so much. You choose this object for you. And if you are, especially for us beginners, we can have many discursive thoughts, many distraction, a lot of excitement when we start doing this practice. So it's not good for us to put this object, when we visualize this object, above us, very, very far away above us. Because if we do like this, the excitement becomes stronger. So we visualize this object in front of us, the same level as our head.
Yeah. And it tanda to maintain it in that's ma pabko kashir. That's young better kashu magima and susuli ma and the masashul ma jana young Dijapta and the market bachar. Taina could tombo show my but that's so me so developed it's ma pavia.
This
It's ma pana. So with the captivity, it's ma pana.
And it's also good if we put the object of visualization, so for example the body of a Buddha, just a little bit below our eyes, our levels. It's not good to put very low, because then it becomes like a cause of disrespect, but a little bit below our eye line.
And the chick so Jichakar Samatana Mari. Jicha Chichena, say Jogre, Yana Chichen, Shiran Shendo, Karina. Then pay Samla Chikartan, pay Jukotsa. In this Samatana, this Samatana, Karzana, Samlo Dindi, Samatana, so with sympathy. Tichima Nuntea.
Gopa and it's also good when we visualize the body of a Buddha, or when we have this object of visualization, the statue. You can choose what the statue or the body of the Buddha is made of. It can be gold, glass, light, but we visualize this object of visualization as being very heavy, and this helps us for our mind not to go to many places. This helps us with the distraction. If we visualize the body of the Buddha is very heavy.
Teni yanjochi karasong yari kasi yang tanda timantini tenrawina yang chochi teli yang korbe pene statue kukane dishi mage kurong shasati kang ma njarde yo pe chapo teli ya yachi ya chago na chama tu korombe to pe kuntel ma njarde yo no teni sawata.
This, so we think of it as being very heavy because, for example, if we leave the statue in one place, it's, for example, if it's a very heavy thing, it's not easy for us to move, for us to lift it. So it's easier for the statue to stay in one place, for the visualization to stay in one place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Ane teni chik tan tamadinga na yate. Taina gobashi chumo yana pena kude pe wosh pe wochimo. Yana yang chik shen na jing pe tangma. Ini sabla tang yo mare. Ini sabla tang gobashi chendu. Kude chitang ko pe susu jite po pe yitu washi sabla tang. Na hajing pe wochimo yo. Ini sabla mangda.
And one last thing that I'm going to say is the way we visualize the statue, the image of a Buddha. If we have a lot of these discursive thoughts, excitement, we don't visualize as being full of light, and we have to visualize as being heavy and being pleasing to the eye, attractive, but not full of light. And because if we visualize this as being very full of light, very bright, then this excites our mind. So this excites our mind more and more. Just one last.
Yeah, that is a tambo was a tamlamdo. Division be and be chet on a team that's all a paint to you. I say, Gom jam down the tambo, go and sit down.
If we know these methods of meditating before meditating, I think it's beneficial when we start.
Yeah, then it was a very good shot.
Okay, yes. So today our time is done. Maybe you want to stop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for this tip about this, how to visualize. Because sometimes visualize very.
Yeah, very interesting. I have never heard these tips.
Only Shambachilana. Pena, Yanchi Susu Chamashi Chumuyana. Only Paki country community, Kuyat Shakwea, Yajats and my but the witching Buddha. Chick transparent, Dennis Samatana.
So since you like this, also if you're feeling very down, the laxity is stronger than the excitement, then you put the visualization above your head and with a lot of light. That's also good for the laxity.
But the thing is, open just from the inner eye.
And I wanted to know Mubedka, Mubed Shimuche Omari.
Not very open. The eyes not very open.
To me, they're paying it's tight mind, just lightly close to
not very close to, so just lightly close your eyes. Yeah, you're visualizing with your imagination.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.